The entertainment world is in turmoil once again as rumors swirl, tears fall, and hearts across the globe break over the shocking revelations involving two of China's most beloved stars, Tan Songyun and Dylan Wang. What was once seen as an innocent friendship or potential fairy tale romance between these two top-tier celebrities has taken a darker, emotional turn. And now, with Shinyu, Dylan Wang's longtime co-star and confidant, finally breaking her silence, the fandom universe is left spiraling, trying to make sense of what really happened behind the scenes. Let's dive deep into the emotional roller coaster that's taken over the hearts of millions. It all began with what seemed like an innocent spark. Tan Songyun, known for her infectious smile, youthful grace, and a resume of hit dramas, and Dylan Wang, the charismatic, fiery-eyed heartthrob who skyrocketed to fame after Meteor Garden, were spotted together multiple times in recent months. From attending fashion events side by side, to quiet dinners in downtown Beijing, to subtle Instagram likes and cryptic comments that fans dissected with obsessive detail, the signs were there. The chemistry between them was undeniable. By spring, fans had already built an entire fantasy around the idea of the two dating in secret, and why not? They seemed perfect together. Tan, elegant and grounded. Dylan, intense but kind-hearted. A perfect blend of yin and yang. But behind the curated smiles and the camera flashes, something deeper was unraveling. Sources close to the stars hinted at growing tension. While some insiders blamed their hectic schedules and the pressure of fame, others whispered about a love triangle forming behind the scenes, one that involved another fan-favorite actress, Shinyu. Shinyu, who gained global recognition alongside Dylan Wang in Meteor Garden, had long been rumored to harbor deeper feelings for her co-star. Though both repeatedly denied romantic involvement, their bond was undeniable, their chemistry on-screen too potent to dismiss, and their off-screen moments filled with tender familiarity. Fans dubbed them Yue Wang and held on to the hope that they would someday become real. So when Dylan began appearing with Tan Songyun more frequently, those hopes began to falter. Fans of Shinyu were devastated, many expressing confusion and heartbreak over what they called Dylan's betrayal. Social media turned into a war zone. Team Tan, Team Shin. Comment sections exploded with debates, accusations, and emotional breakdowns. And then, silence. For weeks, neither Dylan, Tan, nor Shin addressed the rising tension. Until now. In a stunning turn of events, Shinyu finally broke her silence during a live fan event in Shanghai. Fighting back tears, she opened up about her side of the story, and what she revealed left everyone stunned. "I have always cared for Dylan as more than just a friend," Shin confessed, her voice trembling. "But I never had the courage to say it, because I feared losing what we already had. When I saw him with Songyun, my heart broke, not because she didn't deserve love, but because I realized too late that I was already too far behind." The crowd was silent, hanging on to every word. Shinyu continued, "This is not about jealousy. It's about the pain of watching someone you deeply admire drift away, without even knowing how much they meant to you. I never hated Songyun. She is a wonderful person. But it hurts. It really hurts." Her confession ignited a wildfire of emotions online. Hashtags like hashtag Shinyu Speaks Out, hashtag Dylan Tangent Triangle, and hashtag We Are Crying Too began trending worldwide. The fandom, once split, now unified in heartbreak, resonated deeply with Shin's vulnerability. But what of Dylan and Tan? According to industry insiders, Dylan Wang had been growing increasingly distant from Shinyu for months. While he respected her deeply and had once considered their friendship unbreakable, his heart had started shifting toward Tan. Close friends of Dylan's say he was drawn to Tan's strength, her mature yet playful nature, and the comfort she brought him during one of the most stressful years of his career. She made him feel safe, a source shared. He wasn't looking for sparks anymore. He was looking for peace. Yet, Tan herself wasn't without wounds in this unfolding drama. An anonymous close friend of Tan Songyun revealed that the actress had initially been hesitant to pursue anything with Dylan, knowing full well the rumors surrounding him and Shinyu. She didn't want to be the reason anyone got hurt, the the source explained. But Dylan reassured her that his feelings for Shun were platonic. He made it clear. Unfortunately, things didn't unfold as cleanly as planned. With emotions left unspoken, misunderstandings piled up, and fans felt betrayed, not just by the celebrities they adored, but by the fairy tale they believed in. As the emotional weight of Shinyu's confession reverberated across the internet, Dylan Wong released a brief, but heartfelt statement. I never intended to hurt anyone. Shinyu has been one of the most important people in my life, and that will never change. But sometimes, feelings shift, and it's not anyone's fault. I hope everyone can understand that life isn't always as clear-cut as it seems. I wish both Songyun and Shun happiness, and I hope one day we can all heal from this. Tan Songyun, too, addressed the issue in a quiet, thoughtful message posted to her official Weibo account. I never set out to come between anyone. Love is complicated. Friendship is even more so. I respect both Dylan and Shin deeply, and I only hope we can all move forward with kindness and understanding. But despite these statements, the fandom remains in mourning. Thousands of fans have flooded social media with emotional messages, many relating to Shinyu's experience of unrequited love and quiet suffering. Others express sympathy for Tan, who had unknowingly stepped into a situation far messier than anticipated. Some questioned Dylan's decisions, while others defended him for following his heart. A popular fan account wrote, "This is not just about celebrities. This is about real human emotions. About loving someone who doesn't love you back. About watching from the sidelines while someone else takes your place. Shinyu spoke for all of us today. We are crying with her." Others, however, are calling for peace. Let's stop turning this into a war between women.
Shinyu is in pain.
Tan Songyun is in love. Dylan is torn. This is life. Let them breathe. In a time when celebrity relationships are often romanticized and idealized, this painful chapter serves as a reminder that behind the glitz and glamour are real people, real heartbreaks, and real sacrifices. As of now, the trio has not been spotted together. Dylan Wong is reportedly focusing on his upcoming drama, immersing himself in work as a form of escape. Tan Songyun, meanwhile, is said to be taking a short break from the spotlight, while Shinyu has been showered with overwhelming support from fans and fellow celebrities alike. No one knows what the future holds. Will Dylan and Tan weather the storm? Will Shinyu and Dylan ever rebuild their friendship? Or will this be remembered as the silent heartbreak that broke the internet? As the interview's emotional climax continued to ripple through the studio like a silent thunderstorm, Chongwuk sat still, almost lost in a trance. The lights above him flickered softly, casting a golden hue across his face, as if trying to soften the heaviness in the air. But nothing could soften the impact of what he had just confessed. Not to the host, not to the audience, and not to himself. I don't deserve Nam Ji Hyun. Those words didn't come from a script. They weren't rehearsed or polished for television. They came from somewhere buried deep within a man who, for years, had learned to armor his heart. And now, with one phrase, he cracked it open, live, raw, and real. The host leaned forward again, almost afraid to ask what came next. "Why do you feel that way?" she asked softly, her voice trembling just slightly. Chongwuk blinked, then let out a slow breath. "Because I've spent more time running from love than embracing it." The camera zoomed in just a little as he continued. "I remember this one day on set. We were filming a rain scene. It was cold. Everyone was miserable. Ji Hyun had been up since dawn, filming emotional scenes, but not once did she complain. Not even when she slipped and almost twisted her ankle. I offered her my jacket and she smiled. Not the kind of smile you give because it's polite, but the kind that melts something in your chest. That was the moment I knew." He looked up now, eyes glassy, but holding back tears. "I knew I was in love with her. And that terrified me." The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of memories. Of nights he didn't sleep. Of long walks home after rehearsals where her voice echoed in his head. Of those tiny moments off camera where she would hand him a snack with a note that said, "Eat well today." Of the way she looked at him, not like he was a celebrity but like he was human. I started asking myself questions I didn't want to answer, he said, voice strained. Do I deserve this kind of love? Will I ruin it if I get too close? Can someone like me, who has been guarded for so long, give her the kind of gentleness she gives to others? The host's eyes glistened now, too. The studio was no longer a studio. It was a confessional booth. A space where one man unraveled the threads of his most sacred relationship in front of millions. She told me once, he continued, his lips trembling, that I remind her of winter, cold on the outside, but still and beautiful in its quiet. And I remember laughing awkwardly, not knowing how to take a compliment like that. But now I understand. She wasn't trying to flatter me. She was telling me she accepted me, just as I was. Another pause. This one heavier. And I pushed her away anyway. He buried his face in his hands for a second, inhaling deeply. The host remained still, her notepad untouched. No one wanted to interrupt this moment. Not even time. I remember when the drama ended, he said softly. I thought maybe I'd be able to let go. That without the script, without the schedule, the feelings would fade. But they didn't. They grew louder in the silence. He spoke of the months that followed. The late nights when he'd scroll through old behind-the-scenes photos just to see her smile again. The way he'd catch himself rehearsing apologies in the mirror, but never had the courage to call her. The ache of being so close to something real, yet too afraid to reach for it. There was this time we bumped into each other at a private event, he said, his voice softer now. She looked radiant, but different, like someone who had finally started to heal. I said hi. She smiled. But there was a space between us that hadn't been there before. A distance she wasn't responsible for. I had built it. He swallowed hard, then whispered, and I wanted so badly to tell her then that I never stopped thinking about her. That I wasn't avoiding her because I didn't care, but because I cared too much. A few fans watching live captured this part of the interview and re-uploaded it across fan pages and forums. The clip went viral. Thousands commented with heartbreak emojis and paragraphs expressing how his words mirrored their own personal regrets. One comment read, I didn't know someone else felt the same weight I've carried for years. This isn't just Chongwuk's story. This is all of us who've let love slip because we were scared of being broken. And yet, through the heartbreak, Chongwuk's honesty offered something more, healing. In that moment of vulnerability, he became more than a star. He became a mirror to the audience's deepest fears and their strongest hopes. I think about her every day, he admitted near the end of the segment. Not with regret, but with longing. Because no matter what happens, I know I met someone who changed me forever. He looked directly into the camera for the first time during the entire confession and said, If I ever made you feel unappreciated, if I ever made you doubt how special you are, I'm sorry. Viewers watching live felt that line cut straight through them. He wasn't just talking to Nam Ji-hyun anymore. He was talking to every person who had ever walked away from someone they loved, not because the love was missing, but because they didn't feel worthy of it. And as the host finally wrapped the segment, her voice gentle and sincere, Chongwuk offered one final line. One that turned the emotional weight of the entire interview into a quiet flame of hope. If she's watching, and if she's still out there holding space for me, I'd like to walk back. This time, without fear. The studio went dark moments later, but the glow of that sentence stayed lit in hearts across the globe. A love story wasn't over. It was paused, waiting for courage to catch up with fate.